The Red Sea lay calm, deceptively so, on a quiet morning in April 2025. The massive silhouette of the USS Harry S. Truman, a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, sliced through the waters off the coast of Yemen. It was another standard patrol, part of a larger carrier strike group maintaining vigilance over vital shipping lanes. Above deck, the familiar ballet of F-18s circling. Below, sailors moved through the rhythms of daily life aboard a floating city. Then, chaos erupted. At 7:20 for local time, radar screens flared, suddenly ablaze with unidentified contacts multiple. Fast and flying low, the piercing sound of alarms ripped through the ship. Combat stations, inbound missiles, possible drones, multiple vectors. The call echoed through the passageways. This wasn't a drill. The USS Truman was under attack. From the Yemeni coastline, a coordinated salvo screamed towards the American fleet. Cruise missiles, ballistic rockets, and at least one loitering drone, likely Iranian-made, launched in a tight, timed spread a saturation attack designed to overwhelm even the most formidable defenses. Houthi commanders, hidden somewhere in the hills, watched, believing this strike would be a symbolic blow, a headline-grabbing warning to a superpower. They thought they could bloody the nose of the giant. They had picked the wrong ship. Inside the Truman's Combat Information Center SIC, the atmosphere turned electric. This wasn't panic, it was practiced response. Officers relayed intercepts as the sophisticated Aegis combat system, the electronic brain of the strike group's defense, began auto-tracking the incoming threats across multiple escort ships, a Ticonderoga-class cruiser, and Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. On the flight deck, crews scrambled jets, the thud of boots on steel echoing like thunder. The distinct, high-pitched whine of the Phalanx CIWS turrets signaled their readiness to turn the sky into shredded metal. The Houthi strategy was clear: overwhelm with numbers, hoping a few projectiles might slip through the defensive net, death by 1,000 cuts. But they underestimated the giant's shield. The Truman wasn't alone. She sailed at the heart of a carrier strike group. Escorts bristling with weaponry, systems networked, doctrine honed by decades of naval warfare. As the first hostile blip registered, the transition from routine patrol to retaliatory readiness took less than 60 seconds. Electronic warfare officers flooded the airwaves with jamming signals. The nearby cruiser's Aegis system confirmed. Tracked 131 hostile, speed 600 knots, altitude low. Aegis calculated, prioritized, and fired. The defensive layers activated like falling dominoes. Long-range SM-2 missiles surged skyward from the destroyers, streaking towards the ballistic threats. Closer in, evolved Sea Sparrow missiles ESSM launched, agile interceptors designed to hunt low-flying cruise missiles skimming the waves. From the Truman's flight deck, catapults hissed, launching fully armed FA-18 Super Hornets not for patrol, but for combat air patrol, loaded with MROMs and Sidewinders, climbing rapidly to dominate the airspace. One pilot quickly acquired the loitering drone heading for the fleet. Fox 3, an AIM-120 MROM missile screamed off the rails, turning the drone into airborne confetti seconds later. On deck, red-shirted ordnance crews reloaded launchers with practiced speed, the air thick with the smell of jet fuel and burnt propellant. Anything that dared to slip past the missile umbrella faced the final brutal layer, the Phalanx CIWS, the Siwas. These Gatling guns, spitting out 75 rounds of 20mm tungsten per second, stood ready. One rogue drone, evading the initial intercepts, made it within 1,000 yards, a fatal mistake. The Siwas erupted in a blinding flash and a terrifying roar, instantly vaporizing the threat. Another missile, hugging the waves, was detected by a CRAM system on an escorting destroyer and met a similar fate, turned into floating shrapnel just meters above the water. In less than 5 minutes, it was over. The sky fell silent, punctuated only by the distant rumble of successful intercepts. Of the nearly dozen projectiles launched, none reached the Truman. Not one. Sailors on deck scanned the horizon, adrenaline still pounding. Smoke drifted. SPENT casings clinked on steel. Then, the confirmation came from the CIC. All targets neutralized. Carriers secure. The Houthi attack, meant to shock the world, had been systematically dismantled. But this wasn't just survival, it was information. The launch sites, the timings, the types of assets used, the Navy now had everything it needed. The Houthis thought they had landed a blow. Instead, they had given away their position. Back in Washington, silence. No press conferences, no immediate statements. But deep within the Truman, the narrative had shifted irrevocably from defense to retribution. Less than 45 minutes after the last Houthi missile was swatted down, Package Echo, a pre-planned retaliatory strike protocol, was greenlit. The hangar bay became a finely tuned machine of war. Ordnance teams loaded GBU-38J DAMIS 500 pounds GPS-guided smart bombs onto waiting F-A-18 Super Hornets. EA-18G Growlers, electronic warfare specialists, prepared to blind the enemy's eyes and ears. By 8:35, the first catapult launched a Hawkeye AWACS aircraft, the eyes in the sky. Then came the teeth, 12 Super Hornets, fully loaded, launched in pairs, their afterburners searing the morning sky. Their mission, surgical destruction of the exact sites used in the attack. Simultaneously, 20 miles away, the USS Gravely, an Arleigh Burke destroyer, opened her vertical launch hatches. Tomahawk cruise missiles, silent and stealthy, roared into the sky, GPS coordinates locked. Their targets, the sources of the aggression. The first wave of fire rained down on a mobile SAM site near Al Hudaydah. A direct hit collapsed it instantly. Next, a suspected drone warehouse. Growlers jammed all frequencies as Hornets delivered ordnance with pinpoint precision, triggering massive secondary explosions. Finally, the Tomahawks found their marks, a known, fortified Houthi command and control bunker. Even buried, it couldn't hide. Seismic sensors aboard the Truman registered the distant, satisfying blast. Mission complete, no U.S. casualties, all aircraft recovered. By sunrise, the battlefield was quiet again, marked only by the smoldering remains of Houthi assets. Houthi media offered only vague denials, claiming uninhabited structures were hit. Iranian media stayed notably silent. Intercepted communications revealed chaos and disruption within the Houthi network. The Pentagon's official line was a terse "We are monitoring the situation." Military speak for "We are not finished." Flight operations on the Truman resumed. Combat air patrols doubled, and the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower Carrier Strike Group rejoined, forming an even more potent force. The rules of engagement subtly shifted. Launch on detect. Any radar lock resembling hostile intent would now trigger an immediate response. The Houthis aimed to make a statement. They received one in return, delivered with steel, speed, and lethal precision. The USS Harry S. Truman never took a hit, but it answered with a devastatingly coordinated counterstrike. No chest thumping, no victory laps, just a clear message sent and received across the waves of the Red Sea. The waters are quiet now, but thick with tension. The message is clear: provoke the giant and expect the thunder.